Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Eddie Guerrero, Prince Devitt, the Young Bucks, and Mitsuharu Misawa. Men who have forever woven their names into the fabric of professional wrestling history. One thread that connects each of them are their beginnings as junior heavyweights. Their talent and skill was undeniable, but whether it was inexperience or their lack of size, they were not able to get the spots that were reserved for the main event stars. Although those spots may have been taken, they were able to still make names for themselves by not only fighting others in the weight class, but having something worth fighting over, whether it be tournaments or a championship. It was through these matches and moments that people were able to see them for the stars that they truly were. Without the junior heavyweight division, we would have never gotten Apollo 55 versus the Golden Lovers, the only junior heavyweight match to ever win the Tokyo Sports Best Bout Award and help firmly establish 4 stars of the future. Now, when it comes to AEW, there are no distinct weight classes, which is something they pride themselves on. And to their credit, this philosophy has given us some of the most historic moments in pro wrestling over the past few years. From MJF and Adam Cole main eventing arguably the biggest pro wrestling show of all time at Wembley Stadium for the world title, to Bryan Danielson winning the world title in his last run as a full-time professional wrestler. In a match, by the way, that can hold its own against any as the greatest match in company history. But when it comes to light heavyweights, that's about it in regards to the world title. Only 4 men have won it multiple times. Hangman Page, Jon Moxley, Samoa Joe, and somebody else, but I don't know. I can't remember their name right now. Out of the 9 men to hold the world title at the time of recording, only 2 will be considered light heavyweights. And yeah, Max, I can hear you. You're pushing full heavyweight status, but you just won the CMLL light heavyweight title, so yeah, please. I won't touch on the unified title too much since Okada is the only one to hold it, but I could definitely do a video on the history of the international title, the title that was merged with the continental title to make the unified title, and you can rewind that back if you need to. In my opinion, Orange Cassidy, who is a light heavyweight, had the best title run in company history during his run with the international title. The TNT title has been the safest bet for light heavyweights to hold singles gold in AEW, but for the last 2 years, the title has been dominated by heavyweights and heavyweight contenders. Mark Briscoe recently defeated Kyle Fletcher for the title, and with that win, heavyweights have held the TNT title for over 600 days the last 2 years, while all the light heavyweights combined have held it for 405 days. I know it seems insignificant. One 200-day reign would solve all that, but it isn't that simple. The TNT title historically isn't one that people just hold on to. Darby Allin has the longest reign in title history at 186 days, while his nemesis Jack Perry is behind him at 146 days, and Daniel Garcia has the 5th longest reign at 134 days. My only question is, with the exception of Darby Allin, what happens after they lose the title? Daniel Garcia lost the title, but to be fair, is now aligned with the strongest heel group in the company with the Death Riders. Although Jack Perry faced Danielson in Danielson's only successful defense of the world title, he lost the TNT title and had no direction for almost a year. Adam Cole had the world title shot before he won the TNT title, but as we all know, Cole is one of the exceptions. This doesn't even mention Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky, both who are multi-time TNT champions, but neither are on AEW TV regularly anymore. Meanwhile, the heavyweight winners have gone on and done pretty significant things. Samoa Joe is now a 2-time AEW world champion. Hobbs was in a fun program with Big Bill and had not 1, but 2 world title shots, and eventually became Trios champion with Katsuyori Shibata, and damn, Joe's having a good time in AEW, isn't he? Wardlow has been injured, but I bet your house that he'd have a world title run by this point. Luchasaurus was a prominent figure in Christian's feud with Copeland, both of whom, Copeland and Christian, had world title shots after winning the TNT title. When you're a heavyweight, the pipeline to a world title or a significant feud is a lot closer than for a light heavyweight, unless you're a transcendent talent like Darby Allin or Adam Cole. Does that mean the men I named other than Darby and Cole are less talented? Of course not. It's just that creatively there isn't anything for these guys to sink their teeth into. Until now. Nearly all of your favorite promotions outside of the US has a junior or a light heavyweight division. The best representation I've seen in the US has to be the original X division. Names like Jay Lethal, Amazing Red, Sanjay Dutt, AJ Styles, Jerry Lynn, and Christopher Daniels all come to mind. With the exception of Styles, none of these guys were really given world title matches or main event spots in the early days of TNA, but they were given a platform to show their talent against one another and a title to fight for. Titles equal stakes, and stakes equal fan investment. Although these guys may not have been the biggest or considered household names, I remember how they made me feel as a young wrestling fan way more than any of the quote-unquote main eventers. Also, because of this division, we got one of the best matches of all time for the X Division title in AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels versus, that guy again, Samoa Joe. These dudes would have had an all-time classic regardless, but adding a title to it just made it feel that much more important. In many cases, two light heavyweights feuding doesn't get the same attention or priority as two heavyweights or a light heavyweight feuding with a heavyweight, with MJF versus Adam Cole being the clear exception. Unlike others who have tried to incorporate a light heavyweight or a cruiserweight division, this wouldn't be a separate brand and guys wouldn't just be exclusively fighting one another. Light heavyweights will still compete in the Continental Classic, compete for every major title, etc. This division will help give direction to those who are great performers, but they're currently lost in the shuffle. This will also be a great opportunity to showcase more wrestlers from junior heavyweight divisions from partner promotions, which ultimately, if done well, helps everyone involved. In AEW, it isn't about dudes putting on 20 pounds of muscle and jumping into a heavyweight division. It's about whether or not you've made the connection with the audience. If you can do that, you'll get the opportunities regardless of size. But the best example of someone who used their time as a light heavyweight to elevate themselves to main event status is none other than Will Ospreay. Now, hold your tomatoes and please don't use that language with me. I know Kenny and the Bucks' transition from junior heavyweight to heavyweight was one of the biggest factors in paving the way for AEW to be formed. But I'm talking about accolades, and in terms of accolades, Will Ospreay is one of the most decorated in junior heavyweight history. He captivated many of us in his early Ring of Honor and PWG appearances, as well as his work in the UK. But it was in New Japan's junior heavyweight division where Ospreay really separated himself and began putting himself in best-in-the-world conversations. He is a 3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, a 2-time Best of Super Juniors Champion, and he is the only man in New Japan history to win one of the major titles as a junior, the Never Openweight title. He also had a series of matches against Ricochet that are still being replicated today. He parlayed that junior heavyweight success into becoming arguably pound for pound the best wrestler in the world. He also has 2 ESPN Match of the Year awards. I'm not being petty. I just wanted to throw that out there. I also believe there are guys ready to make an Ospreay-sized leap into the main event scene, and this division will allow them to prove it. This is going to be a round-robin style tournament with a 20-minute time limit for league matches and no time limit for league final matches or the finals. 12 competitors across 2 leagues, and unlike the Continental Classic, the 2 competitors with the most points at the end of the league phase will face each other in the league final. The runners-up in the league final compete against one another for a number 1 contender spot against the champion. The winners of the league finals compete in the final to crown the inaugural AEW Light Heavyweight Champion. They will also be crowned the winner of the inaugural AEW Light Heavyweight Grand Prix. Before I tell you who's in the tournament, let me tell you who isn't. Although luchadors will be heavily represented in the tournament, Mascara Dorada unfortunately did not make the cut. To have someone of his caliber, he'd at least have to be in the league final. And there are other stories I want to tell. And with this being the inaugural tournament, I want to keep it to people who are contracted to AEW full time. AR Fox, Sammy Guevara, Dralistico, Action Andretti, Leo Rush, Tommy Billington, Adam Priest, Blake Christian, Daniel Garcia, and Kyle O'Reilly are all names I wanted to be in this first tournament. But Garcia and O'Reilly will be involved in storylines tied to the tournament. And perhaps the most glaring omission from the tournament, Pac. If you were to list innovators of the modern style, you wouldn't get far before having the name Pac. Wait a minute. I know that ain't. You know what? We'll get back to you in a second. With that being said, this was purely for saving Pac for a potential run in the Continental Classic. But this is a great problem for AEW to have. All of these men, including the ones in the tournament, should be mixing it up on a weekly basis with something to fight for. I think I've done enough ranting now. It's time to introduce you to the competitors in the inaugural AEW Light Heavyweight Grand Prix. First, in honor of one of the greatest junior heavyweights of all time, Jushin Thunder Liger, the competitors in the Liger League. Hands down, the best striker in the tournament, Speedball Mike Bailey is an early favorite to go all the way. One of the most hard-hitting and tough-nosed men in professional wrestling, the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. A former ROH television champion and arguably the most innovative high flyer in the game right now, Commander. A man who is still a mystery to the AEW audience, El Clan will certainly have a family behind him for the tournament. A young man looking to go from prodigy to ace of the light heavyweights. He is the current Ring of Honor television champion, Nick Wayne. And the final competitor, yes, he may be very bald, but he is also hands down one of the most influential wrestlers of the 21st century, an early favorite to capture the crown, Ricochet. Lastly but not least, in honor of the greatest American-born pro wrestler in history, Bryan Danielson, the competitors in the Dragon League. Many have labeled him as the best wrestler in the world and a lock to win this tournament. He is the two-time ROH World Champion, Bandito. Yeah, it's Orange Cassidy. With the Death Riders by his side, as well as years of training with the man the league is named after, Wheeler Yuta is ready to add another title to his collection. Nobody's as fly as the Jet. He's a New Japan Dojo graduate and a two-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, Kevin Knight. A World Travel veteran and Bullet Club Gold member, Ace Austin looks to use this tournament to break out and become a regular in the light heavyweight division. And lastly, an American pro wrestling legend with a career spanning over 20 years, a former ROH World Champion, two-time ROH Television Champion, ROH Tag Team Champion, and a former AEW International Champion, Roderick Strong. One of these men will be the first ever AEW Light Heavyweight Champion, as well as the inaugural winner of the AEW Light Heavyweight Grand Prix. Who would you guys like to see in the tournament? Would you care to know how I book it? 25 likes and I'll drop the video. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't have a concrete release schedule yet, so please hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Thank you all so much for watching my very first video, and as always, peace and pro wrestling.